All right, guys. So with Zayn Blitz again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and for staying with us for as long as you have. This has been a great conversation. Before we start part two of this amazing conversation, just want to say make sure you guys are following me on Zayn Blitz Media and also my YouTube channel, which is the Zayn Blitz Show, which you can see other interviews, other important conversations on that, and of course, my boy Percy, the special guest himself, the godly Mr. God's Wrist. You can follow him on his Instagram at God's Wrist and his YouTube channel, which is God's Wrist God Body. Okay? You with me, Percy?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, man. I just want to remind you again, man, this has been a pleasure. I'm enjoying the conversation. And I think in this part of the call and this part of the conversation is going to get a little deep. You know what I'm saying? Emotions will run high because we're going to talk about something that's very serious and something that honestly really drew me close to you. And I was like, yo, I was like, once I saw this, I had to DM you immediately. And what I'm talking about, when you posted this caption and this picture on your page, it was very bold. It said, I was molested. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. All right, this is strange, you know, like, I don't want to say strange, but it's just like, it's just something that I wasn't used to, but I was grateful for that, because I also was molested, right? And so immediately I clicked in the comment sections. I had to see what was going on, what were people saying, and I ended up catching a comment that you made, and you said that you were grateful for that experience, and I was like, whoa. I was like, this dude's crazy. I was like, why are you grateful? Like, who says they're grateful for being molested at a young age? So I was just like, this is crazy. So I DM'd you, right? And your response to my question was rather fascinating. And so, you know, I'm very happy and excited for people to hear what you had to say on why you were grateful to be molested. Because that's just, I was like, whoa. But before we do that, before you elaborate on that, a few things happened to you, right, growing up?
Yes, yes. Quite a few.
Yeah.
Quite a few. Mm-hmm.
Quite a few. Same here. So what I'd like to do at this time is just to open up the floor and let you, you know, kind of explain to the people listening, to explain to me, you know, what happened.
Okay. I appreciate it. It's necessary to have these conversations and to be comfortable in the uncomfortability of having the conversations, because it's helping those who are struggling with this and whom haven't come out of that box or out of that shell to speak on it or even to acknowledge it. The first instance I'm going to speak on is me being molested at the age of 6, and this isn't something that I truly came to think about until maybe I was 20 something. My mom worked a tremendous amount. She did everything that she could. She did an excellent job. I always had everything that I wanted, every Game Boy, Nintendo, all that, Sega, everything. But with that, I would have to be watched over, you know, on the weekends or at nights if she was working. And one of the places that I went to was with my cousins at their house. And this was an older cousin who was in her teens. There was a cousin a little bit younger than her, and you know, it was all gradual. But I'm pretty sure that I was the second youngest in that group. And this particular cousin in her teens, I'm unsure if somebody had touched her or tapped her in or molested her in some type of way, but for some instance, she had asked me or told me or reprimanded me and coerced me into eating her pussy. And this is something that I vividly remember because I distinctly remember the taste of it. The pheromones, my tongue on the skin. This is something I remember vividly.
So you don't remember her like abusing you, hitting you, like do this, do that. It was kind of like.
No, I don't feel like it was a violent interaction at all.
Okay.
At all. I told my mother about this. I feel soon thereafter, and I was taken to who I believe is a psychologist. I think psychiatrists, they prescribe medicine, so I'm gonna go with psychologist. If I'm wrong, it happens. Everybody
No,
makes
you're
mistakes.
right. No, you're right. Psychiatrists
Okay.
prescribe medicine, psychologists don't.
And they definitely didn't put me on any medicine after that, so I'm pretty sure that well, not that I know of, my mom didn't mention anything about it when talking about it in later years.
Mm-hmm.
But I distinctly remember speaking with a psychologist and explaining what I understood that happened. And in later years, my mom would tell me that I went to this individual 3 or 4 times, and I felt as if the thoughts that I was trying to convey weren't properly received, or that the individual didn't believe me. And my mother told me just this year, or maybe last year even, that the psychologist told her that I wouldn't remember these things because of my age.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was intriguing because you remember certain experiences. You might not remember all the details or even anything else that was happening, but you remember what happened to you or how it made you feel. You remember that.
Right, and I'm gonna just have to like kind of stop you right here, just kind of say something real quickly, because like now that just kind of like makes me a little angry and heated that a professional would say something like that, because it's very ignorant. Because what people need to realize is what children go through from ages freaking 2 to like 12. That's such a, I mean, any part of your childhood, but especially between those ages, that's such a developmental time. And what happens in that life, and from who's touching on you to how you're loved, to what, you know, everything about your mental health at that point is vital to who you will be. And so I can speak on my experiences from me going through stuff during that childhood that's impacted me, and it still does to this day, and it does that to so many people. So that's actually crazy, and it could be sexist that you would say that. And I only say that because I feel like if you were a female and it was a man doing this to you, I don't know that the conversation would have still been the same of like, oh, she'll forget it, or it's okay, you know, it's not that serious type of thing. And so I'm just sorry that you had to hear that from a professional. So.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like that. If it were a female and let's say there was penetration, like she can't get her hymen back.
Right.
There's it would have been very plausible that there would have been more intricate follow up, or that the situation would have been taken care of a lot differently had it
But
been.
you can't.
Yeah.
But you can't get your innocence back. Your innocence back. You know.
It was taken, it was robbed, gone, diminished, absolutely. And let me see. I'm thinking that I covered most of that.
Okay.
When I was the second instance that really shaped my childhood and shaped my perspective was me being 12 and me having an encounter with a gentleman that was in my Boy Scout troop. My mother had a friend, and her friend had a son. We were both in Boy Scouts together, and with that, I spent a lot of time with him, of course, camping and at the actual meetings. But I also go spend the night at his house. We would play Dreamcast and Sega, all kind of games, and it was a pretty dope experience at first. And I would later learn that what he was doing for me was, or what he was doing to me rather, was kind of grooming me and lessening the impact of what he would later attempt to do. And he would take pictures of me while I was in the shower. It was very strange to me. I didn't quite understand, but I thought maybe, like it was a prank or, something goofy. I'm still thinking rather innocent in this moment because, like I don't recall being molested. I don't recall people being malicious in a point of me in my nudity or anything dealing with my genitalia or anything like that. So he this was a very tall individual, very lanky, pretty muscular, and I looked up to him with some admiration. he was, he was very good at video games. I was a huge nerd. I was a quintessential Urkel, and I was very enthralled by him, his lifestyle. He had a whole basement to himself. I just had a room. So like he was super dope to me.
Yeah.
And he would he had please excuse my language, but he had this like foot long dick. The shit was ridiculous, and he would enjoy playing with it in front of me.
Wow. Okay.
And it was just weird, and I just like kind of be like, all right, like whatever, let's turn the game back on. Like I'm trying to race or do whatever the objective was on the video game.
Okay.
And there was an instance in which I believe he asked me to get something from the laundry room, which was also in the basement, and he followed me in there. I bent down to grab whatever it was, and he pulled my pants down and he attempted to penetrate me. As an adult, I understand that there was no lube involved. Trying to get in an asshole is rather intricate. It's not something that you just shove into without it being some like blood or something. So he fortunately he didn't penetrate me, but there was a lot of play around my anal cavity, and this was something that I didn't tell my mom about until I was in my 20s.
So when you say play, you mean like he used his fingers? What do you mean?
It was he was still using his phallus. He was still using his penis. But he was like trying to get inside of me, and he pinned me down.
Oh wow.
And it was very traumatic for me. I was telling him to stop. I was telling him to get off of me. Like, no, this, like, don't do this. It was very traumatic. I really didn't think about some of that until I'm saying it right now. Yeah. So he didn't suffer any consequences because I still recalled the feeling that I had when I told my mom and the psychologist, and that feeling being that I wasn't completely understood, or that there was no resolution from what happened. I didn't know that my cousin, whom was a teenager, she has paperwork on her right now in regards to what she did to me. I didn't know that there were repercussions for what happened. So I kept this to myself. I did not tell my mom. I didn't tell this individual's mom. I just kept my distance. And I eventually, as a Star Scout, I eventually pretty much dropped out and told my mom this wasn't something that I wanted to do anymore. So I didn't get my Eagle Scout because I didn't share in my experience. Among other things, I'm certain. But that was something that definitely shaped my perspective. The third major thing that occurred for me was me burying my oldest son.
You said burying?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
When I was in college, and I'll probably get beat up for saying this, but my sophomore year I pledged, and I consummated a baby while I was online, which is definitely against the rules. You're not supposed to be having sex or any of that. But my girlfriend at the time, my later would be fiance, she and this isn't the woman that I married, I don't want to confuse that, but this was an individual who was very genuine to me and very, very special to me. So I truly relished in the experience of becoming a parent with her, even though I was doing all the wrong things and I wasn't really there for her like I should have been, being a 20-year-old soon-to-be father.
Right.
I dropped out of college, and I didn't want to ask anybody for anything, so I felt that was the best thing to do, is just to go into the workforce. and I was doing well. Me and the mother had broken up because I came honest to her about all the infidelity that I had during our relationship, and I really couldn't blame her for that.
Okay.
And
So this was after she had the baby. You told her about the infidelity.
That's correct.
Okay.
I wanted to come clean. You know, I wanted to marry her. I wanted to do the right thing, so to speak. And we decided to part ways. She was staying about an hour and a half away from me, and she came and brought my son to me the weekend of my 21st birthday. And that was the greatest thing that she ever could have done for me. It was so beautiful having him there with me. My uncle came and visited. It was just me and him all weekend long.
He was a baby.
Great. Yeah, he was a baby. He was 6 months. He was exactly 6 months.
Wow.
And that was, of course, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the following week, on Saturday, about 9 o'clock, his mother called me and told me that he wasn't breathing, told me that he's gone. I buried my son a few weeks after. He speaks to me in the sense that he was born 1/27 of '07, and he passed on. He transitioned. He moved on 7/7 of '07. And this was something that began to spiral myself out of control, so to speak. Whereas I wasn't in control of myself, I was much more impulsive with all of my actions, including being in the streets, selling drugs, just being really in the moment in a negative way.
So you were trying to heal.
Yes, that was my way of grieving, and I probably, hurt people, and
that's true.
I know that me not healing my wound myself, I bled on a lot of other people. And I probably hurt many more people than I know that I did because of my own pain and suffering that I was going through.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I never know what to say when people say that.
Yeah, about passing, because it's kind of like you're like, well, you don't have nothing to do with that, but it's just like, I guess in the essence it's like, I'm sorry knowing that you had to go through that pain, that type of hurt.
I received that. I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I definitely received that. I think to finish off that series of questioning was to speak on my perspective of it now. I believe in a phrase. I'm unsure if this is something that I put together, and I'm not going to take full credit for it because I understand that there's nothing new under the sun. But if I put two and two together and it sounds good to me and it works for me, I like it. So, perspective positivity, in which you can take whatever instance and you can turn it into a positive, no matter what it is that happened. If you tripped up the steps, if you were delayed from getting to work on time, whatever it is. It's what's supposed to happen. It's the path. It's your destiny. It's what's supposed to shape you to become the highest version of yourself. And it's just like going from one job to a next, in which you take those same experiences that you had on that first job. And you're like, okay, well, yeah, I've done that before. I can flip a burger. Yeah, I know how to do that.
Right.
And you're taking that same knowledge and that same information, and you're transmuting it. You're alchemizing it, and you're using it to oscillate up and to make it into something positive.
Right.
Earlier this year, my a cousin-in-law, so my cousin's child's father, or no, they were married. So my cousin's husband, he went on and he had another child after they were separated and divorced and whatnot. And this child was maybe 4 or 5 days old, and this child passed away. This child transitioned on. And I used to live with these cousins when I was in Atlanta, when I was going through my phases of trying to heal, and moving around and going everywhere and running from myself. And I expressed to him what happened to me, and he would kind of take note of the way in which I moved and the way in which I kind of have my spiritual rights and the way in which I thought. And because something so tragic happened to me, I feel that he was a bit further away from taking his own life after this same situation happened to him. I know from my family members that are spiritual that there is a purgatory, so to speak. And the way to get there for sure is to take your life into your own hands. So no matter how I may feel about myself, no matter what I may have had happen to me, or no matter how painful or how much I don't want to be on this plane anymore, on this existence, on this, in this society, in this city, in this whatever, I know that I don't have the option of taking it into my own hands. That's how I completely end my cycle. I cut it off. I cut the tether and I cut the connection that I have with the higher power, with the Almighty, because I'm choosing my fate.
Wait, and you're saying that, I'm sorry to cut you. I want to make sure that I understand it and people here understand what you're saying. So what you're saying is, I just want to be clearer. You're saying that you wouldn't take your life is what you're saying, right?
I cannot.
Okay.
Good. I would not. I would be comfortable saying that I'm suicidal. I would be comfortable saying that I'm homicidal, in being that I have thoughts of it.
Right.
And that just because you have a thought of slapping the Easter Bunny, it doesn't mean that you go up and you ruin what's going on in the middle of the mall.
Right. You know, we're not perfect. We're gonna have our moments where we have bad thoughts. It is what it is. But you don't execute on that. So
I cannot. I've sat there. I've smelt death on me. I've been very, very close to it, but I know that I'm not able to take that final step because that's not my decision. I don't decide when my work is done here.
That's deep. And
you
know what?
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I know that each perspective that we all have. Well, let me first say this: when we talk to somebody else, no matter who it is, we can only speak on the experiences that we've already had. And that's what builds our perspective. That's what builds our opinion, and that's what makes us authentic and individual. So I know that by me transmuting all of my experiences and continuing to make them positive, that if that's what I'm giving to the universe or to the Almighty, to the Creator, I know that that's what's being reciprocated back to me. Right.
That's true. Because at the end of the day, we can't change our past. We can't. In some instances, we can't even control what happened to us. What we can choose to do is to choose to heal, right? To be aware of what it is, what it was and what it is now, and what you can do moving forward. So I'm glad that you have that perspective and you understand that.
Absolutely. That's what keeps me alive, man. That as well as my youngest son, he's 9.